In a segment of the Nile Valley soon to be inundated by the construction of the Aswan Dam, archaeologist Fred Wendorf made a groundbreaking discovery. Back in 1964, he stumbled upon a prehistoric burial site housing 61 skeletons near the border of Egypt and Sudan, known as Jebel Sahaba. This burial ground was established by a member of the Qadan culture approximately 14,000 years ago. Given the conspicuous signs of physical trauma on nearly all the skeletons, Wendorf and his team speculated they had stumbled upon the oldest battlefield in history. Yet, the question lingered, were these skeletons indeed the casualties of a primordial clash? And did organized warfare even exist in that distant epoch? If so, what form did it take? In this presentation, we delve into these inquiries in our quest to unravel the origins of warfare. Defining war. Archaeologist Andrew K. Schroeder delineates war as a collective endeavor involving conflict among autonomous groups that resulted in physical, emotional, and psychological trauma. This definition posits war as a confrontation between distinct groups, wherein a significant portion of these groups are impacted in some manner, leading to both physical and psychological harm. While the most archaeologists concur with this definition, many military historians contend that it overlooks a critical aspect: organization. From their perspective, a skirmish qualifies as war only if multiple combatants operate under a leader, employing formation and tactics. For the purpose of this presentation, we incorporate this criterion into our definition of war. War is organized. Organization need not entail large-scale battles. Ambushes, feuds, and minor skirmishes also fall within its purview. Considering its potential magnitude, the conflict in the Nile Valley nearly 14,000 years ago might considerably meet the criteria of warfare. However, the extent of organization and parties involved remain ambiguous. Considering the antiquity of these discoveries, it prompts a long-standing inquiry pondered by scholars and thinkers over centuries, whether warfare has been a perennial aspect of human existence, ingrained in our nature. Winston Churchill, in his reflections on World War I, asserts, "The saga of humanity is one of the conflicts, save for fleeting and precarious intervals. Peace has eluded us, even before recorded history. War was ubiquitous and perpetual." Churchill's perspective aligns with the ideas of political philosophers Thomas Hobbes, who posited war as an intrinsic to human nature and envisioned life in early societies as solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Diverging from Churchill for a considerable period, most archaeologists concurred with Jean-Jacques Rousseau's conception, countering Hobbes' bleak portrayal with the notion of a noble savage, living harmoniously with nature. Consequently, in light of atrocities of World War II, many scholars downplayed prehistoric warfare, depicting prehistory as an era of tranquility and often overlooking potential evidence of conflict. Artifacts such as weapons and armor were frequently interpreted as symbols of status or tools for hunting, while prehistoric fortifications were viewed as either ritualistic or practical structures. A notable example that continues to provoke debate is the walls of Jericho. While some regard them as defensive fortifications, others, like renowned Dutch primatologist Frans de Waal, purpose they served to ward off floods from nearby mountains. This prevalent notion of war's insignificance in prehistory was fundamentally challenged with the publication of Lawrence H. Keely's influential work, War Before Civilization: The Myth of the Peaceful Savage, in 1996. Keely convincingly argues that prehistoric warfare was neither primitive nor incidental, but rather a significant aspect of life. He underscores that conflicts in this era, although smaller in scale compared to modern wars like the 30 Years' War or the World Wars, had profound repercussions for prehistoric hunter-gatherer societies. Primitive warfare is, in fact, total warfare waged with limited means. While conflicts are typically brief and localized, it's essential to contextualize them for the smaller hunter-gatherer bands of the time, comprising around 20 to 30 individuals. The loss of even a few adults posed a grave threat to their survival. Keely's groundbreaking work prompted re-evaluation among archaeologists and historians regarding the origins of war. While a definitive answer remains elusive, it's crucial not to fall into the fallacy of assuming a peaceful prehistory merely becoming traces of warfare or scars. Just as those advocating for the violent prehistory must substantiate for their claims, those portraying it as an idyllic era must likewise provide evidence. With that said, let us embark on the quest to uncover the earliest vestiges of warfare. Emergence of conflict. Around 500,000 and 300,000 years ago, humanity achieved a milestone by harnessing fire and crafting tools for hunting large prey. Spear-wielding groups could now tackle bigger game like deer, horses, and woolly mammoth. Notably, the Shenanigan spears, dating back 219 years ago, exemplify these early advancements. As time progressed, hunting techniques and weaponry grew more intricate. Horn and stone points and blades emerged, accompanied by enhanced group coordination. During the final Ice Age, spears, clubs, and projectiles became pivotal in the hunt. While direct evidence of insta-species conflict among hunter-gatherers of this era remains elusive, it's plausible they utilized all available means in confrontation. One of the earliest indications of weapon use in conflict was discovered in Shinidar Cave, present-day Iraq, Shanidar. A Neanderthal, aged approximately 45 to 50,000 years ago, bore a chest wound likely inflicted by a thrown spear. Initially, it was assumed a modern Homo sapien wielded the spear, given the conventional belief that Neanderthals lacked proficiency in spear throwing due to their physical constraint. Consequently, the finding fueled speculations about conflicts between Neanderthals and early humans, contributing to debates that regards the displacements of Neanderthals by modern humans. Two prominent theories regarding this displacement persists. The interbreeding theory posits interbreeding between humans and Neanderthals, while the replacement theory suggests modern humans forcibly supplanted Neanderthals, potentially leading to their extinction akin to early forms of warfare. This hypothesis continues to be deliberate, even reaching wider audiences through popular works like Yuval Noah Harari's acclaimed book, Sapiens. Harari contends that minimal genetic contribution from Neanderthals makes widespread interbreeding unlikely. Instead, he suggests humans had completed Neanderthals for a resource due to superior technology and social adaptiveness, gradually outmaneuvering them. This narrative implies sporadic conflicts among groups, but lacks evidence of organized warfare or systematic human aggression against Neanderthals. Human advantages, technological prowess, and social cohesion evolved rapidly. By the late Paleolithic era, weaponry and hunting strategies became more refined, introducing innovations like the atlatl, a spear-throwing device. Consequently, in the Neolithic period, this advancement increasingly turned against fellow humans. Organized conflict. In a cave painting discovered in Morella la Vella, northeastern Spain, dating back approximately 5,000 years ago, 4 warriors armed with bows and arrows are depicted attacking a group of 3 archers. This portrayal potentially represents the earliest known depiction of a skirmish involving archers. Some historians suggest that the arrangement of the figures hints at a strategic maneuver known as a double envelopment, with the 4 archers on the left engaging the 3 on the right. However, it's important not to read too deeply into such illustrations. Yet when considered alongside other contemporaneous cave paintings, it may signify an early instance of coordinated action and tactical thinking, thus meeting the criteria for the organized warfare. Another painting from the same era shows 5 archers marching in formation behind the leader, distinguished by his headdress, while yet another depicts the execution of a prone figure. Military historian Arthur Farrell interprets these scenes as evidence of structured leadership and processual order, elements synonymous with the emergence of tactical warfare. Farrell, along with many researchers, posit that early tactics and strategies were adapted from hunting methods, such as coordinated drives used to corner prey. During the Epipaleolithic and Neolithic periods, the bow and arrow emerged as one of the 4 primary weapons, alongside the sling, dagger, and mace. While all these weapons served dual purposes in hunting and combat, the bow and arrow revolutionized long-range warfare by significantly extending the effectiveness range of projectiles. Unlike spears, which typically had a range of 25 meters, or spear throwers, which could reach 100 meters, even basic bows could propel arrows over 150 meters with relative case. This advancement allowed warriors to engage enemies for a safer distance, carry more ammunition, and coordinate attacks effectively. While Western European warriors favored the bow and arrow, their Near Eastern counterparts preferred the sling, a weapon that required considerable skill to wield effectively, but boasted superior range and penetrating power. The sling could hurl projectiles up to 180 meters accurately, with a maximum range reaching approximately 400 meters. Widely used across various primitive socialities, the sling remained popular in the Mediterranean region, notably among the inhabitants of the Pelagic Islands. In close combat, Neolithic warriors relied primarily on spears, supplemented by maces, axes, and adzes, with stone blades or heads. However, these melee weapons paled insignificant compared to the strategic advantages offered by the bow and sling. The proliferation of these advanced weapons, coupled with evidence of tactical thinking and archaeological discoveries, underscores the prevalence of armored conflicts during the Stone Age. In summary, the Neolithic period witnessed the emergence of organized warfare, characterized by the strategic planning, specialized weaponry, and structured leadership. These early manifestations of warfare set the stage for increasingly sophisticated forms of conflicts in the millennia to come. Early signs of conflict. In 1983, Erhard Schock, a wine grower hailing from the quaint town of Talheim in Baden-Württemberg, Germany, stumbled upon a chilling discovery while tending to his garden. Among the soil lay a green pile of human bones. It didn't take long for the archaeologists to commence excavations, eager to uncover the truth buried beneath the earth. What they unearthed were the remains of the 34 individuals, men, women, and children, many bearing the telltale signs of fatal head injuries inflicted by stone axes. These victims had seemingly been ambushed, summarily executed, and then interred in a communal grave, a method of brutally eerily reminiscent of 2 other infamous massacres at Killenstatten and Schultz. Such violence, occurring around 5000 BC, marked a dark chapter in European prehistory, hinting at a landscape rife with conflict. Through the meticulous analysis of isotopes, which reveals dietary habits and thus geographical origins, researchers discerned that the deceased belonged to 3 distinct groups. Curiously, there were no female remains among those natives to Talheim, leading archaeologists to speculate about the possibility of female abduction. Yet, the reason behind the execution of women from other groups, as well as the convergence of diverse populations at a single location, remain shrouded in mystery. While these massacres may not definitely point to organized warfare between distinct factions, they underscore the propensity for violence within the linear pottery culture of Eastern and Central Europe, a culture renowned for its technological, economic, and social advancements. The linear pottery culture, synonym with the dawn of sedentary life in Neolithic Central Europe, represents a pivotal moment in human history. The transition from nomadic hunting and gathering to settled agricultural societies. With the cultivation of crops and domestication of animals came increased population density and inevitably heightened competition for resources. Surpluses became both a boon and a liability, attracting the gaze of neighboring groups and opportunistic raiders. As historian Kaushik Roy contends, conflicts over resources alongside theoretical and personal disputes served as a primary catalyst for strife across Eurasia. To safeguard their livelihood and position, settled communities swiftly moved to fortify their settlements, erecting barriers against potential aggressors. Thus, the Neolithic era heralded not only the birth of agriculture, but also the dawn of fortified societies, where the struggle for survival and dominance drove innovations and conflicts alike. A time of conflict. In 2015, a group of researchers delved into the genetic diversity of our Stone Age ancestors and uncovered a peculiar observation. Approximately 7,000 to 5,000 years ago, the male-to-female ratio in Africa, Europe, and Asia seemed heavily skewed, with only one man for every 17 women. This phenomenon, dubbed the Y chromosome bottleneck, perplexed anthropologists and biologists alike. Was made population on the brink of extinction? Further analysis revealed that while the number of men had drastically declined, their genetic diversity had. Instead, a small cohort of interrelated men appeared to be procreating with the majority of women. The underlying cause remained a mystery until 2018, when researchers at Stanford University proposed a plausible explanation. They theorized that the cultural and social shifts, particularly the prevalence of patrilineal clans engaged in prolonged conflicts over generations, led to the diminishing diversity of Y chromosomes. As these conflicts decimated male bloodlines, men from a select few clans eventually became the primary progenitors. This hypothesis aligned with the evidence suggesting a surge in organized warfare during the Neolithic era, akin to historical conquests like Alexander's or the spread of Islam. A pivotal indicator of this shift was the widespread fortification of settlements between 8000 and 4000 BC, demonstrating the profound impact of warfare on human society. Jericho, one of the earliest fortified sites, boasted formidable defenses, including thick walls and a towering structure dating back to 8000 BC, housing around 2,000 to 3,000 inhabitants. While some debate persists over whether these structures primarily serve defensive purposes or protection against floods, their effectiveness against attacks was undeniable in an era before sophisticated siege techniques. Similarly, Catalhoyuk's seemingly clustered housing units concealed a well-fortified settlements, where interconnected houses formed a defensive perimeter, trapping attackers within valuable confines. This defensive strategy spread to other settlements like Archaeologists and Umuk-Tepe, involving over centuries with advancements such as fortified walls and round towers. Notably, the city of Tel Es-Sawan in Mesopotamia marked a milestone with its fortified wall foundation around 5000 BC, while Yan-Galash, 500 years later, featured external round towers enhancing defensive capabilities. In 1991, a mummified body discovered in Tyrol gained fame as Otzi, named after the Otzotal Alps where he was found, approximately 5,250 years ago. Otzi met his demise from an arrow wound to the shoulder and a potentially fatal head injury, sparking ongoing debate over the circumstances of his death. While initial claims of blood on his equipment were debunked by the Institute for Mummy Studies, evidence of injuries suggests his involvement in a skirmish prior to death. Otzi symbolizes early warfare's toll, highlighting its prevalence in the Neolithic era and its profound impact on human culture. Though the origins of warfare remain debated, its significance in shaping human history from the Neolithic period onward is undeniable. As weaponry evolved and tactics became more sophisticated, fortified cities gave rise to city-states and eventually mighty empires. The Bronze Age ushered in a new era of warfare, reshaping human civilization and setting the stage for future conflicts, an expansive topic deserving further exploration.